All right, it being the hour of 7:01, I will call the meeting to order. Are there any announcements? I can't think of any. Nothing? Paul, I really appreciated what you did for Stephanie.
Well, thank you.
That was awesome.
I'm going to miss her so much.
Yeah.
She's a great person, and unfortunately, we don't have enough of people like her in our community.
Yeah, it's tough, but so that should be an announcement. Do you want to make that, Paul? The naming of the pavilion?
I will make that announcement. We had a celebration of Stephanie Murray's 18 years of service on the Recreation Committee, and in awarding her in actually creating Morse Park for the most part, we bestowed upon her the honor of having the pavilion named after her, and it was really very touching to have somebody like that in our community that has done so much. So hopefully we have some great people following up, Eric Bissett and a number of the people on the rec committee, who will hopefully take her strengths and move forward in the future.
Yep, awesome. Thank you. I guess also as an announcement of something that happened, I mean, I think several of you were there. We had a groundbreaking ceremony at the new town offices and library.
When was that?
That was on Thursday.
Didn't see any construction starting today.
No, I fibbed, or I have been given new dates. My understanding is that the construction will start on Wednesday.
Yeah, they said the 12th.
12th.
Today's the 10th.
Yeah. So we'll see. Okay. Having gone through announcements, our next piece of business is to approve the minutes. John, I didn't have an up-to-date. There wasn't one up on the website, but I believe that.
I thought I posted one. There were some changes from what Betsy sent out.
Yeah, I did not see it. So I have a copy of the minutes that Betsy sent out. Would you rather share the screen for you and work that way?
Yeah, because I don't remember what the changes were. I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
That's fine.
To the ones
I went and looked up on the website for all documents that said select on them, and
yeah,
it wasn't there. So these things happen. Let's see. We figured this out last time.
wasn't the 13th or 27th was the last meeting?
27th, yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing mine.
Okay.
And
I
you can
can
share
also. Would people also like me to just email out a copy to everybody?
Of the minutes?
Yeah, or do you just want to look at them on screen? It's kind of hard for everybody to read on screen at the same time.
So I just emailed them before you came on what I had, but I don't know if you updated it or not. So.
I did.
Okay.
All right.
You want to just email it to us? Is that easier?
I did not receive it before showing up to this meeting, so I'm not going to be able to pull that up while I'm on the meeting here.
No, sorry about that.
What was the date on that? Was 7/27.
Yeah. Is there any chance that we can just have these things completed like a week after they're done so that we have a little more time to?
They are, and they're put up on the website. I just, for whatever reason, it didn't make it up on the website this time.
Yeah, I didn't see it, John. That's why I wasn't sure if this was an anomaly or something. I just like going, I mean, only so that we can go back to look at old minutes. I don't know.
No.
All of the old minutes are up there, and normally the new ones are up there within 4 to 5 days. So the email just went out to all of you.
So, Paul, if you're uncomfortable with this process, we can wait to approve these minutes till our next meeting.
It also
No.
Steve,
My clarity of remembering things is very good. It's just that there might be something. I know during some of the more difficult debates that we discussed on issues regarding the bond, I'm very familiar with that. I think that everything else was pretty straightforward, and so I guess the only thing I was more concerned with was the minutes regarding the bond, the performance bond on the building. That's all. That's all that I had to say.
Steve, you have disabled screen sharing for participants, so I can't share that.
Well, I've done that. Thank you. I wish I knew how. Let's see. Multiple persistent. How about that? Can you do it? Can you do it now?
Let's see.
I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, that whatever you just did.
Aha, thank you.
There we go.
So I'm not, is there a part anybody, so it did go out an email. If there's a part somebody wants me to see, let me know and I can scroll to it.
There was that motion that I missed. Did you remember it? It was one of the warrants at the beginning. Looks like you remembered it. Yep, you
Yeah.
fixed it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I noticed when I emailed it out, there was a typo or two somewhere. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, well, I think, was this the one that had Stephen Heisinger as the select board member in attendance? I think Bill
I don't
Martin mentioned that one to
think
me and I fixed it.
So,
So Paul, I think the one you were mentioning.
Yeah, the only one that I was not completely sure of as to the results was the performance bond. The rest of them I understood the Black Lives Matter and all the other issues that came upon.
Policy.
In the regular business, the check warrants, both of the accounts payable are referred to as accounts receivable.
oh, I did. Oops.
They're accounts payable. The payroll.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh, AP. Yeah, my bad. The warrant's up above.
Yeah.
Should be AP, not AR. Good catch.
So unfortunately, the version I'm sharing is actually a PDF. I'm going into the, yep, so it's just changing R's to P's there.
And
And
approve
receivable.
accounts payable,
Yeah.
not accounts receivable.
So I don't understand because I remember a pretty spirited discussion on performance and payment bonds, and I'm not sure I see that in here.
That's the only thing that
I get it.
I don't have a recollection of is the details, and
Well, we didn't
haven't
come
seen-
to a decision, but
no, I know that we did not. I just did not recall.
Wasn't that in the executive session?
oh, that's true.
Yeah,
That was
that's
an
true.
executive
Yes,
session. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Hey, John, can you scroll? Oh, if you scroll down to sign policy, there were a couple typos there. I just want to see if you caught them.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna switch to sharing my Microsoft Word document so I can actually edit them as you
Oh, okay.
say them. Now I gotta share again. Where the hell did it go? Ugh. Hang on here. Of course, now that I've open the screen, it won't let me get behind it to anything else. 727. Okay, now I should be able to share it. Okay.
Voila. Before
So
we
we're
go
down-
too much further, could I ask the party on that just phoned in, 881-9595? Who are you? I think I know who it is. They were here the last time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, who are you?
I'm Carol Maxwell.
Carol, thank you very much.
I'm trying to cook dinner, so I had my microphone off.
There you go.
John, you caught the sign. You caught the typos in there.
No, you wanted something. Oh, I already got it?
Yeah, you caught them.
Okay.
Thank you. I spelled commission wrong, but I think you fixed it.
Is there anything else somebody wanted up on the screen here?
No, I forgot about the executive.
Yeah, so that won't be in the minutes.
That's correct. So never mind, please.
I move to adopt the minutes of July 27, 2020.
As amended.
We did make another change.
I think so.
Yeah, you changed the accounts receivable to accounts.
As
Fixed a
amended,
few typos.
right.
There you go.
I'll second that. This is John.
All right, awesome. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And opposed? And abstentions? That motion carries. I'm going to bring us back, I hope. Oh, let's see what I'm doing. Why is that what's going on? All right, well, that's okay. Here. We're back to the agenda. Review and approve check warrants. I just got, there's a series of 3 check warrants when I went back through my emails. And, you know, I guess we'll do them in order of which they appeared. This would be, does that work for people? Is that visible?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything. If you're screen sharing, I'm not seeing it.
I'm certainly trying to screen share it.
Not seeing it either.
Oh, it's because I'm too stupid. Hold on a second, I'll get there.
There's a lot of that going around today.
How's that?
Blame the heat.
It was hot.
You got to be smarter than the thing to use it. Now, guy, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so this was an accounts payable warrant 00731 for a total of, survey says, $14,372.10. John, I'll just point out, I think the work that you've been doing on the Jockey Lane right-of-way,
Yeah.
showing up as that
$1,500 basically.
that's $1,500. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to it when we get to that subject matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yes, in fact, it's marked that. I see that. That's great. Is there any discussion on this? I would entertain a motion to approve AP warrant 00731 for a total of $14,372.10.
So moved, Bill.
Is there a second?
I'll second, John.
Thank you. So I don't want to rush you. Is there any discussion here? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And all those opposed? And abstentions. So that passes unanimously. I have a,
Can I ask one question on that, Steve?
sure.
Is the sheriff stuff coming any closer to paying their way, or is it still pretty much all expense and not much revenue?
I don't know the answer to that without having a budget status report in front of
Yeah.
me. I'm
Okay.
happy to get, so
Got it.
at our next select board meeting, we will be setting the tax rate, and we definitely should take a look at the budget at that time as well.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so the next one I have is a payroll warrant 00803 for $9,238.10.
This is John. I'll move to approve.
Mary Kate, I'll second.
Excellent. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And opposed? And abstentions? Awesome. And then we had one more that just crossed my desk this morning. I think, I hope you all were copied on this AP warrant. This is AP warrant 00810. Total amount of $16,572.83. Yahoo. Yeah. And a lot of it is the contract services for the culvert. Wow.
Is that the Bristol Road culvert or the Mountain Road?
I believe it's the Bristol Road culvert.
Okay. I know he had to do some, I forget what it was, stormwater analysis or something for the Mountain Road one, but I didn't know if that had come through yet.
I kind of, do you mind if I scroll down and take a look at that? I'm just not quite understanding, because that seems like a lot of,
Those reports, Stephen, are not really, there's not a lot of clarity in them.
there's,
The invoice,
I'm sorry.
you talking about the invoices, Paul?
Yeah, yeah, no, because it's like no, they're engineers. There's no question. This is your invoice. Pay the bill. And
Yeah, Bristol.
I hope that Ben is actually looking at this with a careful eye, because our professional service fees in this town seem to keep creeping up, and I do understand the services, and I do recognize that with environmental control, environmental laws, you have to follow through. But at the same time, we have to expect that Ben is doing his job to clarify whether or not it's a rational expense based on his experience or whatever. I personally, in my own business, I always question people as to saying, how much is this going to cost us? Because I'd like to have a report that I can give to my clients to explain it. His clients is the townspeople, and we should probably need to have a little more information up front, even if it's just a rough estimate, without having these invoices dump on us that we are not in a position to argue with, because we don't really know the details.
Right. I mean, it's true. I mean, the contract, and here it appears to me that like the contract that was entered into between the highway department and Otter Creek appears to be some $13,500, of
Right,
which
and that's
10%.
fine.
No, I
Yeah,
get
that's
it.
fine.
So this is a contract that is going, progressing, I guess. We paid 40% of it by the look of it. Anyway.
No, I'm just putting up a point of issue that we need to have Ben explain to us that he understands when he signs onto these contracts for the town, that he actually is familiar with the circumstances for why this engineering is required. That's
Sure.
all.
Sure. And that's fine. And you know, as we're all well aware, there's a budgeting process as well. We all stand up in front of the voters on the second Tuesday in March, and have them review our work, both for the past year and what we have come up with for a budget for the year coming. And then,
Steve, on this one in particular, my impression is that this Bristol Road culvert, there already is a firm quote and a grant applicable to this, and these are just applying against those quotes we already have.
I believe that's true.
That's what I agree. I understand that, John.
Yeah, the Mountain Road one's a little different because one of the environmental assessment things got, I don't know if it was the state or somebody, Army Corps of Engineers or whoever, got held up. So we were faced with, and I thought, Steve, I thought he'd explained this to you, but I forget who was there when he
It's
explained it.
true. I mean,
And
we had to.
it was either pay for it ourselves or risk delaying and possibly affecting the status of the grant.
Right. So I guess I would ask, I mean, I'm happy to go back and make sure that these invoices, when they get marked a little more clearly for us to be able to pull out. Like,
Right.
It's not obvious by looking at it, whether it's for, we know we have 2 culvert projects in the queue. There's the Bristol Road and the Mountain Road, and it's not clear to me, and I don't remember which way this one went.
It said right on the invoice, Bristol Road.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, be that as it may, it would be nice if they could put a few words into what they did for their money.
Uh-huh.
I was just going to say our purchasing policy requires prior board approval for anything over 10,000.
Yep.
So,
And we did have a discussion with Ben about both of these culverts.
the culverts generally, but not that specific item. Unless I don't recall correctly.
Keep in mind, I'm not arguing with the bill. I'm arguing with the fact that Ben should ask them to define the bill as to the services rather than just a portion of the actual engineering bill that they
Right.
Yeah,
propose.
makes sense.
They called it design and permitting, but sure. I mean, we can
Yeah,
ask for a little bit more than
Yeah,
that.
just ask for a little bit of detail. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you could just remind them of the purchasing policy.
Yeah, and I think it's worth going back. Again, what I remember, Mary Kate, and it's only worth so much. Out of that purchasing policy, he was meant to ask for 3. He was okay if he asked for 3 quotes.
Actually, he didn't need to do that between 10 and 50,000. I don't think. I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
But he just needed prior authorization from the select board for 10 to 50,000.
Okay.
So we have not already voted to authorize based on whatever bids he received on this?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah, let's go back. Which one
I'll
of us?
just check with Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean that it's me that checks with Ben. Who is it? Bill, do you or John or Paul?
But looks like Betsy has something.
Betsy?
Isn't that grant funded, so it would get reimbursed anyway, or no?
Does
Does it still matter?
Yeah, it's not clear to me that the design and permitting is going to get reimbursed, and even if it does, we still have to pay 10% of it. I'm happy to talk to Ben, but I don't want him to get too many people talking to him. So just
No, And that's, I'm only bringing it up just so that I can read something that makes me more
Happy.
understanding, but
Yeah,
other than that, I have trusted I've trusted the controls that we put forward. I'm not questioning that. I just would like to see them provide a little detail. That's it. Not the bill.
I think there's two things here. Is the detail would certainly be nice. The other one is, did we ever approve the bids? And if we didn't, we probably should.
I think we did, but sure.
Yeah, so if we've already approved them, then there's not a question of, are we following our purchasing policy? If we've approved them, then he's okay to move ahead on those.
Okay,
All right,
I'll take that as an action item. I'll try and email the board with what meeting we approved the Otter Creek contract. Back to this. So I would entertain a motion to approve AP warrant 00810 for a total of $16,572.83.
So moved.
Who?
What was that?
Well,
I'll second. John will second. I don't know who firsted.
all right, we'll let Bill have that one. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And
Aye.
opposed? And abstentions. All right. Awesome. Overweight permits?
To my
Anything?
knowledge, there are none.
Excellent. Public comment. Carol, you're here. Did you have something you needed to say to the select board? Apparently not. Well, if you do, let us know later. All right.
No, I'm good, thanks. I'm just
all right.
listening.
Excellent. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. 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 They want. There we go. So I thought our next order of business is a payment and performance bond for the new building. I sent out a email detailing a conversation that I had with Adam Osha of Kenny Pike. They are the firm that writes a lot of the insurance policies for Naylor Breen. They would in fact be the company that should we ask for a performance payment bond, that bond would be, these are the people who would go and secure that bond. I'm happy to go through these levels of insurance. I don't know if you guys have all read them or not.
Steve, I have a question. I seen that Adam offered to write a letter with his opinion
He
that
did.
taking out a payment and performance bond is not warranted for a project with this contractor.
He did.
Can we take him up on that, or?
He did write us a letter, and I'm happy.
Okay.
And it was one of the things I was going to share. You
Great.
sort of jumped ahead of me, but I don't have a problem with that. We can start there. Here's a letter from Adam Osha. And I apologize that I didn't send that through to the board ahead of time.
But Stephen, is that the email you sent out with the notes that he checked up on on the policy?
No, that was a builder's risk policy that he's written for us.
All right.
I'll go ahead and read this letter. It's not very long. I'm writing to you as the bonding agent of Naylor and Breen Builders, Inc. Our agency has provided Naylor and Breen bonds for 25 years. I personally have been their bond agent for over 16 years. During our relationship, there's never been so much as a hint of a performance or payment bond claim. Naylor and Breen holds itself to the highest standards throughout all facets of the construction industry, including leading their peer group in financial liquidity metrics. Naylor and Breen is the best of the best in all phases of the project delivery. The performance and payment bonds guarantee the completion of the contract and the payment of all subcontractors and suppliers on the project, not a risk when contracting with Naylor and Breen. The money which you would need to be allocated for these bonds should be utilized elsewhere on your project for a tangible result. So,
So when I, excuse me, Stephen, when I was looking, and thank you for the letter. That's a nice contribution by him. But when I was looking at that email where he was sending out the specific price for that performance, actually, honestly, I looked at that and it was kind of very unclear to me as to what he was actually prescribing as far as coverage goes for $5,600. That's all I remember. But my point, and I'm going to make this last point to the board, and then I'm not going to speak a word of it again. No, I really just want to just bring it up. It's just that, one, Adam is no person to promote a company's, ability to pay or whatever. He's in the insurance company, and I'm sure that Naylor and Breen pays high premiums for their business because the building industry requires that. It's part of the nature of our industry. However, there's no way that we have a complete understanding of how certain industry standards will change with respect to the COVID-19 problem. Now, that said, and I brought that up, that if it wasn't for COVID-19, I would not even bring this up. I would just let this thing fly by. All right, that's all it is. But here's the other thing. If you look at a surety bond, which is what a performance bond actually is considered in the industry, is the fact that it is based upon the individual insured, their background as far as their financials, their background as far as experience with debt, and their problems with liabilities to uncontrolled circumstances. That ratio of costs that are placed upon those that makes up that liability cost, which is the performance bond, is based on that record. Now, given that, all right, that reduces the cost by the insurer to cover that performance bond because of that history. And you take that number and then you equate that into the question is, do we truly know what's going to happen in 5 months from now? And will the winter, will these things become a problem as far as, suppliers and pandemic? I just want the board to understand that all those things, Naylor and Breen is a great company. I'm not saying it's not. However, they get a better rate because of that. Because they're a good company, they get a lower rate. They don't have to pay as much for that policy. We don't know if anybody's ever tested this policy back during the SARS event or, all those issues that took place early in the 1900s. That's all I'm throwing out. That's it. That's all I'm throwing out. I'm done.
All right. And I'm going to go back to that summary of the different kinds of insurance that we're talking about. And the payment and performance bonds is what we were just talking about. They are basically a bond to say, to make sure that when your building's complete, there's no any outstanding payments to any of the subcontractors. And it's also a performance bond to say that your building will get built. That's one set of insurances that are out there. The other set is a general liability insurance. That's taken out by Naylor and Breen, kind of two parts. you know, ongoing operations, it's sort of a general sort of casualty kind of insurance. You know, as I said, it covers if somebody unauthorized walking on the job gets hurt, or you know, roof tiles come flying off and hit a car. And the second part of general liability insurance is completed operations, covers like defects. If they didn't nail up the flashing right, and as a result, there's a whole section of the wall that sort of is rotten. That is the general liability insurance would help us make the repairs. And
Right, but every contractor, including myself, as small as I am, has general liability insurance
sure,
for $3 million.
sure.
Right? That exceeds what the value of this project is. But that is most people that if somebody requests that you have insurance, the minimum that any contractor liability policy is written for is $1 million. And that's the minimum. And then, you know, you just, and all the things you said are correct, Stephen, but the general contractor liability insurance, or the liability insurance, and the performance bond are two different
Absolutely,
animals.
absolutely.
They're not, one is not have anything to do with the other.
No, I agree.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody here, and I think that I know everybody in this, at least I'm assuming many of the people on this particular meeting are familiar with all that, but I'm not going to belabor the point, but all I'm saying is that, and Stephen, correct me, Adam did give us a sort of a rough estimate on that policy, right?
No, we actually have, we have a change order that we could institute for a performance and payment bond. It's a little, it's $11,262.
All right. I guess I didn't. I misread what he sent us. I saw a number of $5,600.
That's so. Let me keep going, and then I don't want to shortchange the discussion. I think that it's important that we're all on the same page. And then the third kind of insurance, and this is insurance that we have to buy. It's part of our owner's responsibilities, is builder's risk insurance. It's insurance that we take out, insures the property during construction, and it's the best way to ensure the project schedule. You know, the example that we talked about is what happens when the truck carrying, like, say, our windows from Williston are on our way and it has an accident, and the windows are ruined. You know, this is the builder's risk insurance is what's called an exclusive remedy for the project. We can immediately get reimbursed for those windows and reorder those windows. We don't have to go through the trucking company and the auto insurance for the guy he hit or anything like that. We can go right out and get our windows again. I guess
The contractor is ultimately responsible for any products that they order. We don't have a liability in that sense.
We agreed in the contract to get it, I believe.
That's true. This was part of what actually, I mean, to be honest with you, Paul, it's my understanding, and Chris can hop in here any old time he wants, but my understanding is that you're right. That contract could have been written the other way, but that it's more expensive for Naylor and Breen to get builder's risk insurance than it is for us to get builder's insurance. So we
Yeah.
we budgeted $5,000 for it.
So that's what I saw,
Yes,
Stephen, was the builder's risk insurance.
yes.
And that, Paul, came in at like $4,100, I believe, was the
And it
was the
gets prorated. It's a 12-month policy, so it gets prorated. But we can look at, would looking at the builder's risk quote right now help this discussion?
Actually, let me just say one last thing here. All right. I just provided, I've done it too many times, and I apologize to the board. I gave you my viewpoint, and I
Yeah.
certainly understand if anybody here is more of an optimist under the circumstances than I truly understand that. I will not, I truly understand that. I'm just looking at it from my own perspective, and I do not want to keep this point rolling forward any further. I really just want you folks to sort of, you heard what I said to say. I'm done talking about it. Let's
All right.
move on.
All right.
Let's move
that's
on.
fine. All right. So is there anybody else? I'm ready to go back to the agenda if folks are ready.
Could I, Stephen, I'm sorry.
No, please, Chris.
Yeah, just really quickly. The builder's risk, as we've been talking about, is required on every project. That's assumed that will be in place. As Paul mentioned, the general liability is something that will also be in place. So those two are fundamentally included in every project that I work on with commercial projects. Interesting point of clarification, I think, is really important for the board to understand. As I sat in on the conversation with Adam, we talked specifically about some COVID-related examples, and he said, in fact, the performance and payment bond is not going to cover crises, if you will, that happen as a result of COVID. So even my understanding is that even if you did pull that insurance policy, we're actually not protected against the potential outfall of what might come as a direct result of COVID. And how that's defined is, I guess, could be a question. You know, what failed first? But it could get really. I wanted the board to be clear that we're not adding any additional protection by pulling the payment and performance bond relative to COVID. So that point.
Well, I disagree with you, Chris. That cannot be true. All
Well,
right, you cannot. We're on uncharted territory. How would you know that?
Well, that's
how do you know? We don't. None of us know how this is going to pan out.
Right. What I'm relaying, Paul, is simply what Adam had mentioned, that it wouldn't be covered under the policy, because that seems.
I think policies generally have exemptions, typically act of God, and probably a pandemic is one of the listed exemptions. Your question, maybe, Paul, and I think, Chris, you alluded to this, as to whether or not some specific item would be come under the exemption or not, would be a factual dispute.
Right.
Well, the problem is we don't have the insurance man here. The guy who really knows this stuff isn't here.
Well, I can tell you, with the insurance we deal with for my company, there's no way you're going to get insurance covering COVID-19 from your standard run-of-the-mill insurance company. You'd have to go to a secondary risk market like Lloyd's of London or something like that and pay through the nose. And we're not going to be talking $10,000 or $11,000 or something. You're going to be talking much more if you're trying to insure yourself. There's no way an insurance company is going to take on that risk. And I didn't take Chris's comment. Let me finish, please. I didn't take Chris's comment as a prediction of whether COVID will or will not infect us, or will affect this project, which that's anybody's guess. I do think his comment is spot on as far as, will this insurance cover us for something directly related to COVID-19? And it won't. Nobody's insuring that kind of stuff for this kind of dollars.
Yeah. All right. I guess I feel like we've beaten the subject to death, but I'm willing to go on. So we have, I'm back on the agenda. The agenda item is a payment and performance bond for the new building. Specifically, that would be Naylor and Breen has sent us a change order for a payment and performance bond. The total change in contract price for the change order would be, this is pretty hard for me to read, so it's probably pretty hard for you to read, but it's $11,000, $262.16. So I guess, is there a motion to approve this change order?
Do you need a motion one way or another, or does it?
No,
does
I mean, if you
obvious-
guys,
Okay.
you know, it doesn't matter. It could either die for a lack of a motion, or it could, or we could make a motion and vote on it from there. If you know, if it's, and it would be a roll call vote if we were not unanimous on it.
Well, if you need a motion, I'm happy to make a motion not to approve it.
That's yeah, you don't really make motions in the negative, I don't believe.
I think at the price, it's a bargain if it covered us for COVID stuff, but without that coverage, we're basically doing something that nobody seems to ever do.
Folks, I'm not going to make a motion to prove this. I'm the only one that probably is going to be the one that would do it. So let's move on. All right.
Okay, nope, that's fine. Thank you, Paul. Then the next order of business is we have a, I have a quote again from Adam, who both said, go get a quote from, you know, VLCT, and I'll be happy to look it over. And I talked to VLCT, and they were kind of like, well, they weren't quite in the loop. It turns out VLCT uses the same insurance company, Acadia Marine, Acadia Insurance. And he had offered to review what we got for builder's risk insurance. So I went back to him and I said, Adam, would you be willing to bid on this? And that's the bid that we're currently looking at. You know, he has picked, obviously with any of these insurance policies, you can go up and down in terms of your total coverage amounts. These are the ones that he thought were appropriate for our project. So we have, you know, and I, you know, expensive re-erect scaffolding, you know, expediting expenses, things that, you know, we would need if something, if we lost. This is really how you get your supplies if you're having problems, or to cover you when supplies are not getting there. You know, I can I give you all the song and dance about insurance policies? I can't.
What's the cost of this?
The cost is down here. The cost is, I'm getting there, earthquake limit. sorry, it's way down at the bottom. The cost, the total policy premium is $4,100.37, $4,137. And this is a 12-month premium. If the project ends like we hope it does in 8 months, then we get prorated. So we would get a quarter of it back. The real dollars out amount for us would probably be something in the $3,400.
And Steve, you didn't get a quote from the LTC because they basically said,
Well, they
we
did
don't
give,
really want to
they
do
did
this.
give me a quote, but it wasn't quite as detailed, I guess is how to say it. There was going
What
to
was
be a
the
lot of give
amount?
and take to get it. Thank you. Hold on.
Stephen, is this something that the building committee or the contract, the budget did not include?
No, the budget included this.
Oh, okay.
One
Our
that was
budget,
budgeted-
our budget for this was $5,000.
Oh, all right, all right.
You're gonna have to excuse me a little bit. I'm gonna have to go find her quote.
But why, if the budget was included in this, is this not in the contract with Naylor and Breen? Is that, or is this something that they're not aware of? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. Why are we discussing this if it's already in the budget?
It's,
Do we have-
so I'm sorry. Let me go here. Monthly total budget. Here's our total budget. This is the one. This is from July 10th. So it's pretty much the current budget, and you'll see down here, and we'll come back to it because here's also, this is another one that we're going to be talking about tonight. Construction testing and inspection for $3,000. These are professional fees. That's Chris. Construction costs. That's Naylor and Breen, and everything else is us.
Okay.
All right, so we're responsible for a third-party testing and inspection, and we're responsible for builder's risk insurance.
Well, when we get to that point of the conversation in the meeting, I'd like to ask Chris some questions about it.
Okay, which I'm sorry.
That would be the construction testing and inspection,
Okay, great, thanks.
but I'll wait.
No, that's fine. Let's see if I can.
So you have a budget of 5,000 and it's 4,000 something.
And change,
Yeah,
right.
so we're under budget, which, which is obviously a great place to be. Any of that savings will go down for the time being down to the owner's contingency on the bottom line. And that's sort of how we manage to the overall $1.7 million expenditure.
Yeah,
Chris,
no, I
have
understand.
you looked at the various amounts of coverage for various items, and are you satisfied with those?
Yes, Mary, I have looked at them. I'm satisfied. It's a fairly, fairly common, fairly typical coverage. I haven't seen.
I think he cut out
Everybody
there.
there? No, I'm not surprised. It's blowing
Wow.
like snot out there.
Sorry, that was on my side.
Dead
So
calm here.
I haven't seen the alternative proposal or the internal insurance that Stephen had received.
I'm just bringing it up right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
The equipment breakdown is there, endorsements. So they were a little higher, $4,600. And it didn't seem to me, they did have some of the additional endorsements, but they didn't seem to have all of them, Mary Kate. So that's how I got to where I got to, and why I was presenting this quote instead of the other.
So both of these are pretty much plain vanilla quotes as builder's risk goes.
Yeah.
Yes, the one that we had is a little lower price and might include a little more on the optional endorsements.
That's what it felt like to me. I'm not an expert.
Insurance is a mystery.
It is.
When you make a
Hope you don't-
claim, only then do you know if they're any good.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
Anyway. In any case,
Are we trying to approve one or the other policies here?
yep.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's all I can say is I thought Adam Osha was quite straightforward, understood the project, understood Naylor and Breen obviously quite well, so I thought his policy, I guess I trusted him to. I mean, that's how you buy insurance to some extent. You trust the insurance person that you're dealing with to write you an insurance policy that makes sense for you. In any case.
Yep.
And boy, is it raining here.
I'm
Boy,
about to get out of my porch and go inside. So if you see me disappear for a second,
Yeah.
It's
We'll wait
dead
for you,
calm
Paul.
here.
I've been watching the radar. We're about to get hit, I think.
oh, I can see it coming.
Yeah, it's not raining yet at my place. Dead calm.
So going back to our, so the question, I guess I would entertain a motion to accept the builder's risk policy quote from,
Acadia.
well, yeah, it's really,
Kinney,
it's from Kinney. It's from Adam Osha at Kinney.
Kinney Pike, I think.
There they are, Kinney Pike. The Kinney Pike builder's risk policy for a total premium of $4,100.
$41.37.
$41.37. Thank you.
So moved, Bill.
And is there a second?
Second it.
Somebody did.
I thought I
did.
heard Paul.
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And opposed? And abstentions.
I'm abstaining due to my relationship with the LTC.
Thank you.
Roll
Who
call.
made the motion? The
I'm
original?
sorry, I didn't. Mary Kate, I didn't hear what you said.
Bill moved, Paul Lowe seconded, Mary Kate abstaining. We need a roll call vote.
Okay, that's fine. Bill Martin,
Aye.
Paul Lowe,
Aye.
John McNerney,
Aye.
Mary Kate Kelly.
Abstention.
Thank you. Steve Pilcher, aye. All right. And you okay there, Paul?
I'm sorry, I ate a radish and it was hotter than I thought. I apologize.
That's quite all right. Quite all right. Okay. We'll get rid of all of that stuff. So, inspections. So I'm going to go back to our total project along with everything else. And I'm sorry, this stuff hit me, blindsided me just the way it's blindsiding you. I've sort of asked to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But before construction starts, we need to have a construction we need a third-party construction testing and inspection firm. We went out, Leo Fairbanks gave us a heads up and gave us a couple of names. Chris had a couple of names, and we reached out to a bunch of them. We got it's hard to call this a quote, but I'm going to call this a quote. We got a proposal from, and it's the only person who said that they could do it for us, Vermont Testing and Consulting Corp.
And Stephen, just really quickly, if I could,
Please.
this is very common for testing agencies to provide their proposals as a sort of item by item list, because it's really impossible for them or any of us to know, exactly how many tests are going to be required at the outset of any project. So they provided us with this proposal, and because we see multiple testing agencies, there really aren't too many out there in our region, and so we see the same proposals from the same handful of testing companies. This is a highly reputable company, and so what they're doing is saying, okay, for each concrete test, it's going to cost X, and so on. We look at that, or we judge that against the value that we've placed in the total project budget, which is an allocation of $3,000, which we've maintained since the beginning of the project. They came back and mentioned that, we think to really do a great job and do all the testing that you could possibly need, we could estimate $5,900. I had a follow-up conversation with this company and said, frankly, we don't have that allocation at that amount, and we need to look at it, with the context of the $3,000 allocation. To which they said, yes, we believe, given the nature of the project and so on, that we can hit that target. With some coordination with Naylor and Breen and myself and the structural engineer and the geotechnical engineer to make sure that they're not going to the site at any occasion that really doesn't warrant their time or their service. So that's kind of just a little bit more context with this item.
So Chris, you're supporting this program?
I'm supporting the couple things, Paul. One is that I'm supporting the fact that we need to have an independent testing agency that's hired outside of Naylor and Breen, so that we clearly know that they are acting in the town's best interest. And I'm supporting the fact that this is a reputable company with rates that are competitive and so on, and that we're going to work to get the services to align, as best we can with that $3,000 allocation.
Okay.
Does that make
Chris,
sense, Paul?
No. I understand that. I'm just sort of a little, if I'm coming back on you on this, but
Yeah.
if you think Naylor and Breen's so good that they don't need a performance bond, why are you not trusting them to do simply a drop set on the concrete based on a clerk of the works being there to inspect the drop of the concrete, which seems to be an expense here that, along with others, that you understand what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
you trust them so much that you don't think the bond's necessary, but you think that this is something that's beyond their capacity to do well.
Yeah, actually, it's not. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Paul. Absolutely, and it's really not so much that we don't trust that they're not up to the task, or that they won't, or that they might try to cut corners or anything like that. It's really more about making certain that there's no room for error on a single concrete placement or compaction of the subsoil on on a 50 to 100-year building. And so with I mean, I agree. It's almost like additional insurance. And for $3,000, it's very customary, in my experience, to always hire an independent testing agency to independently represent your best interest. So yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think that I have done foundations that are 100 times more substantial than this.
Right.
And as long as you have somebody there watching the drop and you've got the concrete mixed correctly based on the engineer, you're telling us that we're going to spend $3,000 on something that technically Naylor and Breen should be responsible and be more than familiar with to take care of, without somebody coming in there and going, hey, you know what? It's wrong. Guess what? Once they do the core samples and they do these testings, it's too late. The concrete's poured. It's dry.
Yeah. Right.
So what's the point of this? What is the point? It's too late. We're going to go back and we're going to call the lawyers and say, hey, guess what? You screwed up. Why not just say, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking that, am I still on?
Yep.
Yeah, you're still here.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I don't mean to make this but I'm just telling you, Chris, from my perspective, I have done houses that are 10 times larger than this building.
Right.
And we have done it in areas and soils that were much worse. And I can tell you that when you bring in the engineers to set those parameters for the concrete, for the footers, for everything, that is sufficient. $3,000, all right, or whatever this costs, is just another expense that I think should be incurred by the nature of the quality of Naylor and Breen.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Can
I apologize, but I'm sorry,
No.
but I've done this for a long time, and I don't recall ever seeing a foundation ripped out because of an engineering test.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't necessarily speak to that, but I certainly, on all the projects, Paul, that I've worked on, even in my time at Breadloaf, where again, you might have the same argument. That's an integrated company where architects and builders are working together. We still always had an independent testing agency. Most clients require it and feel very feel comfortable that there is someone outside of because an on-site tenant is the only one. There is no clerk of the works assigned to the project. There is the Naylor and Breen's, and it's probably the same person you're talking about, Paul, which is the on-site superintendent, right?
Right. You have a superintendent.
Yeah. Right. And so that person, that person could do it, but in my experience, it's not common.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Naylor and Breen just allows a concrete contractor to do whatever he wants, and they don't watch over this?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that this is simply for $3,000. It is another test to make absolutely certain that this building, both compaction of the soil and the concrete and other aspects of the building, are in conformance with the drawing specifications and submittals.
Okay. And Chris, I understand what you told me, and I understand where you're coming from. I worked with Breadloaf Construction at the digital building.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I met one of the people that worked for them last week. We discussed a lot of these things as a sort of a generalization of what commercial construction is all about and residential.
Mm-hmm.
The community center is, in my opinion, is more on a residential scale than it is on a commercial scale, with the exception of the elevator and the HVAC.
Yeah, I would
Everything
agree.
else.
Paul, I would totally agree. It's-
All right. So, I mean, to bring in a $3,000 testing fee, I don't think any of my customers in my life would ever say, "Are you kidding me? 3,000 to do a test after the fact?"
No.
They would say, "Do you not know what you're doing?" So that's my point. I don't want to belabor it, but I just want the board to understand that I think this is a very expensive fee for something that, if Naylor and Breen is as good as they are, which they are, there should not be a problem.
This is John. I think one of the differences here isn't the scale, it's the intended use. This is a public building, not a private residence. And we had the same thing putting solar panels on for residential customers versus putting one on the Ripton Elementary School. We had to jump through extra hoops of testing and people reviewing the work at each step of the thing because it was a public building.
No, and I understand, John, but a lot of that usually is more of a health issue regarding the materials used in the facility for air quality, not the foundation that holds up the building.
I mean, one thing I'll just add really quickly is that we have contemplated this expense from day one. So we've been anticipating this in the budget and for that reason have allocated the funds.
No, I understand. I'm just
Jeez.
trying to
All right.
educate a few people here to understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to come back to back to our agenda, and I'm going to I guess I would, since this is the way we're doing it, as you'll notice, this proposal, we can write in any budget that we set. I would propose $3,000 because that's what's in our current budget. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the proposal from Vermont Testing and Consulting Corp. To do our independent testing with a budget of $3,000.
I'll move that. This is John.
Thank you, John.
Second by Bill.
And I also just want to clarify, that's an estimated not to exceed.
That's an estimated not to exceed. I
Yeah.
mean, you right? I mean,
That's what the wording of the contract is anyway.
exactly. And that right, if we start finding problems, we're going to want this inspection guy there more often than what our estimated not to exceed budget is. But if there's no problems, then that would be our estimated not, that would be our not to exceed. Oh, goodness. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed?
Nay.
And abstentions. So it's not unanimous. We're going to have to do this by roll call vote. Bill Martin,
Aye.
Paul Lowe,
Nay.
John McNerney,
Aye.
Mary Kate Kelly,
Aye.
Steve Pilchers, and I. The motion passes 4-1. Thank you very much. Paul, we don't hate you. I promise.
Guess what? I don't worry about it.
That's good. That's good. That's awesome. So let's see. Our next thing is we've had a request for some temporary road closures. I think you guys all saw it. It was Kristen Malzak suggested that they were talking about having a Black Lives Matter demonstration on August 23rd. Hey, Chris, we're done with your stuff.
Yeah.
You can please enjoy your dinner.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
Or
Thanks, Chris.
beverage.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so, yeah, so she um, uh, said, geez, we're thinking about having a, a demonstration. We haven't figured out the time yet. Maybe it'll just be in front of the library, or maybe we will go and have a march from the library to the fire station. And
Steve,
could,
what was the date of that again? I'm sorry.
August 23rd.
Thank you.
Steve, did you see her most recent email about that?
I did. It's-
Okay, just making sure it got through to you in
Yeah,
time. for the
some of
meeting.
it, I feel like I have not done a good job of communicating.
Actually, I thought your reply was pretty good.
Well, yeah, and then her reply was, she said, well, I think 3 hours, and yeah, we'll notify the paper of road closings and stuff. I'm like, you're not doing that. That's in our purview. We close roads. We notify the papers of road closings and the 911 and emergency dispatch and the whole business. The good news was, I also sort of said, we're incurring some unexpected expenses, and it'd be great if you would make a donation to try and make some of those up. But I don't know what to say. Does the board have is there any discussion on this issue?
I think there's two separate parts of it. One is the road in front of the library, which is almost a no-brainer. It's a few hundred feet, and we have a detour around it that anybody can use, so it doesn't disrupt traffic.
Yes.
And the other one is the old States Prison Hollow Road. Is a little more complex of an issue.
Yes.
Especially with the fire department there and access.
Yeah.
There are more houses in town that are accessed going from the fire department west than east.
Yeah. And the only issue with the part in front of the library is the library itself.
It's not open on a Sunday, so I
Yeah.
think that would be okay. I
Yeah.
mean, people would have trouble dropping the boxes off, but
I was also trying to remember if we have ever done this before. I know we did not close it for any of the, what is it, Tour de Farms bike tours. We never closed anything. I'm trying, dim, and I may be way off on this, but dim in my memory is that somebody did a march once.
We kind of closed them a little, or we directed, I guess, right, for the walk around the pond.
We never closed them. They were
Yeah.
open to traffic. There were just parent volunteers all along the road.
So my other concern is that, there is a cost to the town. It seems like, not necessarily now, but we might want to look at having some sort of policy so that if anybody's looking to do this, that they're bearing the cost and not the town.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to make sure that I understand. Is our position that we would be willing to close off the road on the north side of the library parking lot? That's the south side of the library parking lot, but we wouldn't be willing to close States Prison Hollow Road.
And that'd be my position as well.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
Okay. And then if they decide to march, so yeah, yeah,
If they do want to march, they'll need to act like any other pedestrian, march on the shoulders and be aware of their own safety.
I guess the other piece is, if that's all we're closing down, I don't know necessarily that we need to put anything in the paper, right?
that's probably true.
No. We may want to put sign or something up just so people don't park there if they're gathering there, but advertising it in the paper is not, you're not affecting anybody's ability to get anywhere.
And I think Steve, had you checked against what their timing in the library hours? Because that would be the other.
So my understanding is the library is only open on Saturdays, not on Sundays.
Okay, great.
So do you need a motion, Steve, or?
Bill?
I'm not opposed to any of this, but I imagine quite
The
a few.
library is not open on Sundays.
Bill, go ahead.
I'm not opposed to this, but I imagine quite a few marchers might come in private cars, and I don't know where they're going to park. And a TV station is going to get word of this and where they're going to park their trucks. Just as I said, I'm not opposed to it. Just be prepared.
Well,
They're probably going to want to park in the field next to where the building's going up.
On August 23rd, it will not be something that you would want to park your car on.
Yeah. Well, then they could always seek permission from the church.
Or parking,
It's a Sunday.
is there a
No,
chance
that's
that we
right.
could?
Well, that
convince
might
them to-
affect their timing. If they're gonna use their parking, maybe they want to do it in the afternoon rather than the
I
morning.
think they said afternoon.
Yeah.
When the tour of the farms went through, they were obviously much more organized, and they had their own insurance policy. They had flaggers. Occasionally they would notify the police to help them go through really dangerous intersections and stuff. So, but okay.
Yeah.
We will. I think we have consensus. We're willing to block off the south part of the road in front of the library, and we're not going to block off States Prison Hollow Road.
When you say the south part, you're talking about that entire little diagonal split, right?
That little diagonal split.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Not just the side of that piece that's on the library side.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe they haven't really thought about parking, so just maybe indicate that we're concerned about the parking issue.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, they may want to set up a shuttle from the park and ride or something. So do you need a motion, Steve, to close the road, or?
I don't, because they don't even know what time they're going to do it or anything. It doesn't seem to me.
Of course, we don't have another meeting till after that.
That's true.
Well, we could have a motion to close it for up to 3 hours or whatever at a time to be determined.
Okay, I'll take that.
And what was the date again?
August 23rd.
Move to authorize the closing of the diagonal road in front of the library on August 3rd for a period of up to 3
23rd.
hours.
August 23rd.
August 23rd, excuse me, for a period of up to 3 hours at a time to be determined.
Second by Bill.
Good. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And opposed. So the next item of business is a survey of Lower Bennett Road. That fits under the heading of one of the dumber things that I've done for a while. So I'll just take that off the agenda. There is a Betsy gave me a completed survey that includes an agreement from the Braces as to where exactly the road and their land intersects. So I don't think that a survey of Lower Bennett Road is appropriate.
So basically, we already have one or have an agreement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
So I don't know if you saw it, Steve, but I put in a letter to you that I think John Brace may be under the mistaken impression that the edge of his property, or wherever that agreement was, that the edge of his property, the town can't go beyond that. I don't think he quite got the concept that no, the right of way extends so many feet. So
yeah.
it may still be an issue. Like if we go to dig a ditch beside the road, it's still going to wind him up.
I have a letter from John Brace that I got this morning. and I did not, I
Shared
don't
it.
have, I don't
You
have the
shared it.
fortitude to read it yet.
So I took a look
I
at it.
have.
Oh,
I've read it, and it was hard to read something, a picture of a letter.
well, I don't need to know.
Well, I'll just tell you, I thought you did a great job of trying to reach out to a landowner who is very upset and has concerns. And I thought his response missed the boat in an opportunity to.
We'll just keep working. We'll just keep
Yeah.
working it. Just keep working it. So, if I can, Old Stage Road, traffic issues, is there any action there?
I did notice that the horse signs are up. I've not talked to Ben to see if anything else happened since that site visit we did.
Yeah, nor have I. You know, we were supposed to get a traffic count there and what have you.
Yeah, although he'd mentioned an option that might not have required one.
Oh, really?
Because the road is narrow. You remember that?
Well, I
Because
recall
the road
that.
is narrow, there's different standards that apply, and you could possibly change the speed limit just based on that. And he referred Ben to some regulations book that he was going to send Ben a copy of.
There's no question that we could mark a narrow bridge and 25 there. Okay, and then I put on the agenda this North Pond Road reclassification. If you look at our parcel map, Pond Road connects right to Davis Road. If you look at the transportation map, half of it is, you know, a class 3 road, and half of it is unmaintained road. This is the issue regarding how big a bridge we would have to make to repair that culvert. So we haven't done anything yet. I put it on there. I will take as an action item, unless somebody else wants it, to write up a warning and try and set a date and come back to the select board to approve that warning on a road reclassification.
That'd be great. See, if you take that on, I'll take a look at it.
All right.
So was the proposal to reclassify it or to throw it up?
I think throw it up.
Okay.
I think that's the same thing, but
Well, you could make it a class 4, but I mean, it's basically a shared driveway at this point anyway. So I'm not arguing for a class 4, just wondering what the proposal is.
I don't know. I don't. It's not clear to me that we could make it a class 4 and not have to do. My understanding is we need to knock it back to something where it's driveway standards, not.
Yeah.
Not our,
Well, the town, from when we were looking at other roads around here, the town is not obligated to do anything on a class 4 road.
That's correct.
Some years ago, VLCT's interpretation was that you had to maintain bridges and culverts. But now their interpretation is that you don't.
I hate to say.
No, and actually, that's correct, John, because I have a culvert issue on the property coming down the hill, which was thrown up. The only thing I'm bringing up here is that we have to make sure we go through the process correctly, because on my property and the property owners behind us, I guess my lawyer decided that it wasn't thrown up correctly because everybody was not given notification by law that is required. So I guess I don't know how that works.
Oh, we do. There's a whole process and a hearing and certified mail that's supposed to go out and the whole business. So
yeah, so I just hope that we can do that without the hassle that I went through.
that would be good. I think we're not interested in the delinquent tax policy at this time. New town offices and library status, I think we've pretty much gone through most of it. I will say that I'll say that there's been a lot of action on potential volunteer efforts for the new building. A lot of it centered on furniture and using local lumber. And I think that is, I think that's really great. I mean, things that we can do to make this building our own, to make it uniquely Moncton. And I think the building committee has taken on a charge to try and make sure that these volunteer efforts get melded in with the project cleanly, so that there's no sort of chaos that happens.
Yeah, I'll help.
There you go.
Can you oversee the cement? No.
Yeah. Emergency Management Director status. I only have one thing here. I will tell you that we got, we're getting 535, I think, cloth masks from the state.
Great.
Hopefully they're getting shipped to the town hall. And I've sort of put the town clerk in charge of distribution.
Is that for election or just for general?
That's
Perfect.
general.
Okay.
They probably won't get here until after the election. I'm sure
Yeah.
they won't get here till after.
Sharon already has a huge supply of sanitizer and masks that were shipped to us for the elections.
Right.
They're already down at the firehouse.
Infringement on Jockey Lane. John, that's you.
So I hadn't heard in a couple weeks from either the lawyer or the surveyor. And then he finally responded today, an email that I forwarded to the select board with details, and he has some recommendations. I did not read through it in detail because I didn't have time before this meeting, but any survey that was done in the past when they were doing my property adjacent was just showing the center of the traveled way. Nobody has done historical. None of the searches thus far have turned up historical, and his recommendation seems to be we've hit the point of diminishing returns on trying to continue the search for the original. And so I think his recommendation, you can review the letter, but his recommendation is basically going to be just mark the center line as it was when the last survey was done in 2001, and go from there. And if somebody really wants to fight it, they might be able to, but they'd have to show evidence that it was someplace else historically, and that's going to be tough for them to do too.
My reading of it said that he was going to write a proposed letter to the Allens and ask us to approve it at our next meeting.
Yeah.
That's great. That's at least forward progress.
Yep.
Better than what we're getting on the next one.
The next three? No.
Yeah, the next three, next four. We haven't worked on any of them. Actually, I'll go back up to the new town offices and library status and tell you that I ordered a time-lapse camera that I hope to put on the site so that we can take time-lapse photographs of the building getting built.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, and I'd love to get a webcam, but I don't think, I'm sure the library doesn't have any internet.
Oh, the library does.
Library has internet.
No,
Yeah.
no, not the library.
Yeah.
I mean the church.
Oh, you mean the
They-
church?
The church did at one point, and they may still have it. They had it hooked up because they had summer volunteers, like youth corps or something there. And I think they've been before they could allow people back in, they were broadcasting services. So they may have something there. It's worth.
I will reach out to them.
Yeah.
I
Ralph or Terry would know.
Yeah, and I'll. It may be that because it'd be nice to have a webcam, a live webcam out there.
Well, you may be close enough that you could pick it up from outside and not have to run a cable out to it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to run any cables. Although when they get their, yeah. Anyway, when they get their construction trailer up, they'll probably have internet there too. I would bet. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the select board? Do you guys want to talk about Randy and the
Well, do we need to set a site visit date for Town Highway 36? Or are we just waiting for,
yeah, I'm gonna do the Pond Road first.
okay,
I think,
I think that makes sense with the bridge issue.
yeah.
And then, so there was a problem at the recycling center with
Oh,
the contractor not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I received a complaint from 2 residents, one of which it was a text, so I copied and pasted it into an email to the select board.
Yeah.
About no masks, no social distancing. Steve, I think you forwarded one back. I don't know if everybody's seen it yet about the Moose Rubbish owner's response that he wasn't sure if the guy has a medical issue or not, and he can't really ask him if he does. I guess that's a violation of his medical confidentiality or something.
Sure, that happens.
But I guess the thing is, if he's not going to wear one, it wouldn't take much. I put this in a response to you, Steve, but it wouldn't take much for him to put a little table or crate or something out there and just have people leave money on that so they don't have to hand it to him.
Yep, I think that's, in fact, we could probably reuse the little plexiglass things that we're gonna use it at the election tomorrow on said table.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But you got the garbage too, the handoff of the garbage.
Yeah, well, normally people can set it down and then he can pick it up. His boss has told him that he is not supposed to go take it out of somebody's car for them.
Right, but also just he should wait till the person gets back in their car. He needs to know that.
Right, so I feel like we want to, draw a line. Says you could drop your garbage here, and you need to get back behind the line. The guy's going to take the garbage, throw it in there, and charge you some money.
Yeah.
And I haven't been, to be honest with you, I haven't been to the recycling center since Moose took over. So.
When I think they're no longer using the cones and the 3 cars limit, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
But we could use those. We could set them up over by his trash truck or something and do some kind of directing there. And I'm happy to I laminated some signs before. I'm happy if Jessica or whoever wants to tell me what they want on them. I'm happy to make something up for them to put out there.
So maybe put some stakes with string on them or something, to delineate the areas.
Yeah.
So John, do you want to work with Jessica and try and make it?
Yep.
That'd be awesome. Yep. I think if there's no other business, then we should establish the time and date of our next meeting.
I think August 24th at 7.
7 o'clock. That sounds great. I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mary Kate.
John, second.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.